Hello, welcome to episode 2.
Of FMC Book Club podcast.
Yep, we're your FMCs. Hello.
Yes, we are.
How's it going?
Well, it's going well. I
Yeah.
unfortunately have dropped into the habit of when we're done doing our conversations, I run to go read the other chapters and then I wait like 5 or 6 days before we record.
Right.
So I need to stop doing that, is my lesson. So today I'll read a different book when we're done.
Hmm.
So it's all more fresh in mind.
Hmm.
That's my lesson of the week.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, it was talking about it last week was fun, and we were getting to the good stuff.
Yes, things really pick up.
Yeah.
So
So this
excited to
episode,
talk
yeah,
11 through 20 through
20.
20, including
Yes.
20.
Mm-hmm.
So
Next 10 chapters. Exciting
here we
stuff.
here we go. But before that, our question of the day. If you were to choose any like superpower or spell or basically fictional ability, what would you choose?
I think I would choose some sort of like, and this might be just because it's what I've read recently. So I just read Silver Elite, and I really do like the telepathy thing that they got going on. Being able
Okay.
to communicate with, unfortunately, that with that book, it's only, is this spoilers? It's only with other people who have the power, but
Oh, we'll just say just spoiler warning. If you
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
read
spoiler.
this book,
Yeah, but I like the because similar to like Violet and Xaden, right? Just to be able to
mhm,
connect with your closest pals whenever
yeah,
you want. Just say
yeah.
hello. Are you there?
Hello. See, I was gonna say I don't know. I'm thinking about what my answer would be, but I would say that what I know for certain is I would not want to read minds.
Correct. Different.
Love the ability to communicate
Mm-hmm.
via the mind.
Mm-hmm.
I do not, under any circumstances, want to know what people are thinking at all times.
Yeah.
It's the anxiety. It's the
Yeah.
I feel like if I knew everything everyone was thinking about me at any given time, I would just curl up into a ball and I would wear headphones all the time and just try
Yeah.
to drown out. I think that's my direct path to madness.
Yeah. I would hate that.
Yeah.
So which one do you do want?
I would choose the ability for all house chores to be done. Okay, I have to do a cooler one than that.
So Harry Potter fix
Yeah, just
everything
like a
right now?
little
Yeah, yeah, a little flick of the
boppity boo.
wand. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but if I'm choosing things that people would actually put in a fiction book, I would probably say, um, I do think ooh, interestingly enough, I remembered I'd been asked this question before. I would choose the ability to persuade, to just have like the power of persuasion.
Mm.
Now, I don't want it to be that I
Spoiler
can just
alert.
like, yes. I don't want it to be that I could just like wave my wand and make people do what I
Yeah.
want them to do.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even want it to be like sneaky. I would just want it to be like, I would want to really be able to have the power to persuade, be very persuasive.
Mm-hmm.
Really almost kind of like an extreme form of charisma.
Some
Never mind,
Riz.
I take it back. I'll just fly.
Some Riz. Love it. Cool. Well, shall we get to it?
I think we should. I'm really, really
Okay.
excited.
Yeah, me too. Good stuff. Yeah, the chapters were short, so I feel like I zipped through these once I finally got going. But
Yeah. Well, starting with chapter 11. So, our summary for this is basically that this is where Bryn is hiding Acker, and Kai has Imperials checking everyone's rooms for the prisoner. He also drops the I love you. And Acker also expresses his distaste again for Kai. I'm being
Yeah.
efficient today. Just boom, boom, boom. Uh, so, initial thoughts.
So first impression for chapter 11 is I like Acker.
Yeah.
He clearly is protective of her. And do you think Kais is sus about it? About her hiding or
Yeah.
her being the one? That's what I put in my notes as far as like that's why he like kissed her extra long and like
Mm-hmm.
all those things. So
Yeah.
we're
My thoughts were there were really, you know my feelings on Kai. I have not
yeah,
liked him,
yeah,
and it continues to move that direction. But I said the piece that I did not like, where he's like, so sorry, no exceptions.
yeah.
And to the room being searched. And then I literally wrote down, why is Kai so flustered?
Mm-hmm.
It literally the whole chapter is just like he's flustered, he's flustered, he's flustered. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you okay, bro?
Yeah.
And I just generally he gives me yucky feels, and I really like Acker. He lays back, he says his piece, he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't push it on her, but he's like, yeah, no, this is just telling you,
Yeah.
telling you what the situation is.
Kai gives me the ick now, essentially. Like everything he does.
I made you get icked out.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, and the I love you was just what? Really? Throw
I wrote,
that
I
in
love
there.
you, barf.
Yeah.
Just barf. That's all I wrote. It
Yeah.
was everything about what he's done so far and the order that he's done it. It's just so clunky, and does just feel, it feels very like, feels like the way he asked her to be the match when
Yeah.
he was
Manipulative
at them. Yeah, there's
for
like,
sure.
there's totally something happening here, which
For
I
sure.
don't know how much to like just go ahead and be like, we learn a lot in these
Yeah,
chapters.
we do learn a lot. But also like the whole thing about Bryn talking about this is the first time anyone's ever said I love you to me and like
Yeah.
their family, I mean his family meant the most, you know. This is how I'm supposed to be loved. Like for someone who hasn't heard it from literally anyone in her life because she has no one else in her life, and then
Yeah.
for him to just spew it out, yeah,
Just
manipulating.
yucky. He also probably knows that this is the first time that anyone has ever
Hmm.
told her that they loved her.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
bleh,
Yeah.
that's
And what a
that's
moment to
all.
do it, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, they're in search of this prisoner. He comes to her room when there were literally guards with him. And then, oh yeah, let me just drop this bomb on you.
I'm just like, imagine this playing out in your own life, right?
Yeah.
Imagine this is your life, and then Kai walks into your room right now, and he's like, "Sorry, we've got an Imperial guard and need to search your room. Sorry, no exceptions. Also, love ya."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really,
no. It goes
ugh.
back to the peeing on his property, right? Like, oh, let me do all that. Like in the back of his mind, I'm sure he thinks, okay, she totally did this, and he's somewhere around here. Let me just
Yeah.
stake my claim.
My question is, do you think at this point, do you think that he thinks that she has any involvement with this, with Acker?
I I think he might be suspect of it, but I don't think
Hmm.
he believes that she actually did it.
I was
Um,
asking myself that question while I was reading. I was just unsure, unclear.
yeah. Yeah. And maybe he's putting all of this on her to keep her in place. You know what I mean? Like to keep her in place. Even if he doesn't think that she actually did it. He's just like
Hmm.
inserting his dominance and power so that yeah, she doesn't get swayed either way.
Yeah.
But
I wrote down that there's a part where he said he overdid it. Did that
yeah.
part stand out to you?
Yeah, no, I put that in my notes too. Overdoing it, as in Kai is doing an act.
Yes.
Hmm.
I I wrote that down because I remember it's almost like Acker's calling him out for bad acting.
Yeah. And we find out in just a few chapters probably what he meant by that.
That's really it. I mean, there's a nice conversation at the end where Acker's just really trying to spell it out for her in the nicest way possible, but also not the nicest way possible. That,
Yeah.
you know, I I don't trust him, and I don't really get why you do either.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Well,
Well,
yeah. Chapter
chapter
11.
12,
Yep. Moving on.
here we go. So, in this one, we have basically Acker and Bryn. I'm going to refer to her as Bryn
Yeah, me too.
because
Because we don't like
again,
Jovi.
we hate Jovi. I mean, Will Ferrell is going to pop around the corner any second. She's going to be Bryn for me
Yeah, me too.
until she officially shifts in every area of her life, if that happens. But in this chapter, we have Acker and Bryn, and they're talking about just the magic in general, the kingdoms, and her roots and background. He talks a lot about the gift of Alaha, the gift of influence in Alaha, and how that was squandered and abused. So we'll talk about that a little bit.
Hmm.
And that Kai used this on Bryn.
For years.
Yeah. And so, and then she tries to hit him, and they get close. That's my summary of this chapter. And so, I don't know what. Tell me about your impressions of this. What the
Well,
things that stood out to you?
I like this chapter because again, now we have more history on Alaha.
Mm-hmm.
In the previous chapters, we were like, is Alaha bad? Like, we're starting to get some answers here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting. The magic system in this is interesting. My big question that came up was, did they take her then? Did they take her from
It
where
sounds
she
like
was
it.
from? Yeah. Which means, is her mother alive? Question mark.
I don't know that we know the answer to that in this
Correct. Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah, yeah. But those are my big questions. And the fact that he knows so much about her is intriguing to
Look at the
me.
smile immediately growing on your face. You are such a cute sucker for these.
I will fall for everything. I
Gentlemen, you
am
hear that? You're up against a lot. You're up against about a
the
thousand book boyfriends.
yeah, well, because in real life the bar is in hell. So literally book boyfriends. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I just want to know, we're going to start a new thermometer. It's going to be just how, so where as of this chapter is
Hmm.
your love of love of Kai, and where is
Yeah.
your love of Acker?
Yeah. No, Kai has decreased significantly. Three.
It's
Two.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it'll move lower as we get through through these chapters.
Yeah.
But
Where was he in the first couple chapters before I just like nuked
oh, yeah, no, like seven,
his
eight,
character?
eight.
Okay.
I
Okay. He
was
was
like,
up there.
ooh, friends to lovers, love it.
She's like, I can have multiple book boyfriends named Kai. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, that was the thing is I had just read about the other Kai Azar, and so obviously he's a 10 for me. And so this Kai was automatically at a 9, 10, and then
Yeah, just by association.
you know. Anyways, um
So where's Acker then?
oh, Acker in this chapter 6, 7.
A steady progression.
Yeah, no, there's a yeah, by the time we're done with this episode.
All right. I'm looking
Okay.
forward to that.
Yeah, where were we? What were
Um,
we talking about?
we were talking about the magic system
Yeah,
and how much he knows about Bryn.
yeah. So, Alaha, power of influence. Is this where you got your question of the day answer from?
It kind of, so actually with my question of the day answer, it was a little bit like I could see how this thing that I've answered this question in the past, and that I would like the power of persuasion.
Hmm.
But then in reading this, it made me be like, is there any way to do a power of persuasion that isn't shitty? Is
Mm,
there any way to have the power of persuasion but not be like a terrible person?
right.
That's, and reading this, it really started to make me think about if that's possible to do, I
Hmm.
guess it's really, unless you walk into a room and just say like, heads up, I'm the most persuasive and charismatic son of a
Yeah.
bitch you're ever gonna meet,
Yeah.
then and be like, just be aware, your mind will be changed by the time we're done talking.
Yeah.
I, I don't know that there's any ethical way to do that. So I might have to rescind and just like fly. but
Yeah.
but I'm curious what you thought about this, because just as like a summary piece, we find out that Captain Ren
Hmm.
has this power of influence and it gets passed along to Kai.
Hmm.
And that Acker shares that Kai has been using it on Bran, using it to slowly make him fall in love with her and with him. And I'm just curious what you think about that, just impressions.
I mean, this is more like wishful thinking in that I hope Kai is just a kid following his father, like doing
Mm-hmm.
what his dad says. And I do think, they've grown up together. Kai probably does love her in a way of like she's probably the only person that he feels can be at par with him almost.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think like his dad probably influenced him in some way to make sure that Bryn falls in love with him or, becomes
Yeah.
his
Then
match.
maybe there's an element of uh, genuineness somewhere in there,
Hmm.
but that it is definitely coupled with that there was a real method behind
Hmm.
this. There was a
Yeah.
real, even if he didn't have genuine feelings for her, this is something that he probably would have done
Yeah.
for his
Yeah.
dad.
And now that she's almost slipping away a little bit, I don't know if he feels that, but obviously
Mm-hmm.
we see that now he's pulling out the big guns and
Mm-hmm.
touching her more and kissing her more and throwing the L bomb.
I do think that I thought that was a really interesting thing that kind of leads us to flip the script a little bit around who who's really the bad guy here. We were
Hmm.
kind of led to believe that it was Kenta, and that Kenta was like, screw you
Hmm.
guys, like you lost, like go live on the ocean. You made your bed, now lay in it. But the fact that they're now shifting this towards no, actually there was a gift and it was being used and it was squandered and abused. And so for that reason, get out. What other, I mean, I've one thing that stood out to me was, and I thought you would enjoy, is the part where he's Acker's doing push-ups and, and I just wrote, she watches his muscles. And I was
Yeah.
like, Kim's gonna love that part. She's gonna imagine them glistening.
Yes.
Like just
I was gonna mention the taking the shirt off in the last chapter, but
yeah, he's very, very, very free with that shirt. Just like I
yeah.
could wear it, I could not wear it. But I was also really bothered by the so they live in these tiny, like I imagine this is just being like a tiny little like hut basically. Like I don't know how you picture it in your head. What do
S-
you picture when you picture the living situation?
So that's so funny you bring this up, and I missed it in my note because I have a note on this. But in the last chapter, I wrote, "What are you envisioning for their tower of rooms looking like?"
Yeah.
And I see like a tree house. That is what
I
I
love this.
see. Like just a little tree house, she's up in the higher, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Tree
but
house but no tree.
yeah, but you said a hut. So yeah, kind of similar.
It is very similar. I Yes, I basically picture like what you could find on like a beach in like Hawaii. I picture
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of like basically like the material
Yeah.
of like palm fronds and you
So a
know,
tree house.
so tree, yeah, so a Hawaiian treehouse minus the niceness of Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, same page.
Okay, well that's good because that's
Yeah.
that's what led me to have this. It's bothering me that they're having these full-on conversations when freaking Grenadine,
Yeah.
who, where are these names coming from? Grenadine lives right below her, right?
Yeah.
and they're having
Yeah.
these full-on conversations. They're looking for this guy. And I'm just like, you wouldn't catch me saying a word. We would
Yeah.
be just in each other's ears, like,
I
so
mean, and he's
you told
climbing
me.
in and out of that window to the roof like it's no one's business.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm picturing this thing just collapsing. I'm also
Yeah.
picturing everyone in this little treehouse of a community of being like, could you keep it down? Like, I think everyone can hear everyone in this. What sort of insulation do they have in these
Yeah.
this little
Yeah.
treehouse on the water that they have?
That's funny.
Um,
So, okay, wait. So do all Alaha have the gift, you think?
oh, you mean each like citizen?
Yeah. Or is it just general and it's passed down because he
That's a
was the
good
general?
question. I'm trying really hard. Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't actually think we get that answered
Answered?
in
Yeah.
these chapters fully. It,
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, but
Yeah,
I
we don't.
think there's something about like you have to be because we learn more about Bryn, not this chapter, right? Do we? Is
No.
it this chapter that we learn about Bryn and her family more? Or is that
No.
late? That's later. That's later.
hmm
Um, and maybe we'll talk about that more in a little bit because
Okay.
we do learn more about other like kingdoms and magic systems that
hmm
we could try to piece it together.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
I loved the line after hearing my captor profess his love for you, I would have rather died.
Yeah.
Oh, I asked a question. What's the thing about the soil? Because there's the soil with like the promises.
hmm
So obviously we've been talking about like Mother Nature, but like what's the thing about the soil? Because he brought it so that he could wield power, is what he said at a certain point.
Because does the magic only work when there's soil and there's earth?
Yeah, because I think it's interesting. They refer to Mother Nature, but it's really very land based. It's not like
hmm
you can get power from the water, as far as
hmm
we know. Like,
Yeah. Which again makes me think like maybe the Alaha don't have that power anymore because they are on water. And
maybe that's
be
why they were banished there specifically.
yeah, and because Ren took soil,
Hmm.
he has power and he's able to let Kai also have power as a
Yeah. So
son.
that's how he maintains his to some
hmm
extent, but it's probably severely lessened.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, we could be
Well,
so wrong,
you know
but
what?
but it does add.
Critical thinking. We're
We
doing
use
it.
it sometimes. We use it sometimes. We're doing it. We're doing it. That's all I got for this one.
Yeah, yeah. That
But
was
they need
the
to lower their
shortest chapter.
voices.
Yeah. Yeah, they're too loud.
As far as it sounds, Grenadine's kind of bitchy a little bit. So
She hates that fucking bird, man.
she does. She hates that bird. All
Chapter
right. Chapter
13.
13. So my summary.
hmm
Bryn's playing cards with Messer, Lawton, and Ophelia, who are just other members of the guard, basically. And she does her match ceremony dress fitting.
hmm
And it also discusses her as with her little hobby of drawing. We will very likely see moving forward. That's kind of anything else.
That's pretty much it. What
My
was your
first note
impression?
is
Yeah.
fertility dance question mark. And I say, yeah, she's not getting married. There's a fertility dance in the match ceremony.
Yeah, it's gross. Everything about the match ceremony is weird. I mean, during this whole thing, during her trying on the dress and stuff, you can obviously see the wheels turning about Kai and
Mm-hmm.
the influence that he's probably had on her.
What did you think about him coming when she was trying on her dress?
The fact that he said I picked you, like picking her, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I know probably for her also, it was like, oh, picked me. Like, was his power working in that sense? Like, I picked you, so now you know what I mean? So that was interesting. And then the fact that she's now getting surprising, like, feeling like knots in her stomach about when he's touching her and things like that. Like, oh, there we go. There's the anxiety.
Yeah.
There's the it's not right anymore.
I
So,
think what I was enjoying about what I think the author is trying to do with this is, first of all, there's the push and pull between his, at this point, Bryn is still kind of questioning
hmm
whether or not Kai would actually, like, A, has this power of influence, or B, that he's using it on her.
hmm
And she's still a little skeptical at this point. And so I think the contrast between her feeling these very real feelings in the moment, like when he kisses her in this moment, I think, and you can
hmm
kind of feel her, she's like, it kind of like stole my breath and those
hmm
kinds of things. But that, and there was parts of that reading it that was, quite frankly, a little bit confusing for me, because I was thinking, wait, you were just told. Then I remembered that this influence thing is a factor, and so just how hard it would be to parse that out. If
Yeah.
it feels real, it feels real.
Yeah. But it's more powerful. I don't think, did he tell us this? It's more powerful when they're physically touching.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that when he's touching her, kissing her, she feels so drawn to him. She feels so in love with him. And then as soon as he's gone, it was like, what?
Yeah,
Like, did I really feel that? Or like, God. And at the end, she's crying because fuck, like she she felt it. Like she knows how strong it was and then how back and forth it is now for her. But
yeah. Well, and on top of that, there's the just the piece of differentiating between the influence and how she really feels, but that she also notes from this, well, she doesn't say this here, but she gets this really weird feeling, which, as we're reading it, we're interpreting it as, wow, she
Mhm.
has really strong, like, connection and attraction, and there's really something here between them, but that it can actually be interpreted differently. And we do kind of end up finding out that it was something else. It's so hard when you have to split between, like, this happened in this chapter, but this happened in this
I
chapter. So
know.
working through that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was the most meaningful moment of the chapter. But I will say I loved getting to know Lawson.
Mm.
Lawson seemed like such a little sweetie pie. What did you think of him?
Trying to remember actually.
He's the one whose parents are, they're basically, one of them works in like a shop, and the other, they have very sort of low level jobs, and they're, the way the kingdom sees them as nobodies. And so
Mm.
he's talking about how he didn't get a match,
Oh yeah.
and that he likely won't because of his standing and his family and all of that.
Yeah, he'll just
And
become
then
a guard, right? Or something like that.
yeah, and that he's, this was, cool opportunity for me, but I wish I had a match. And then Messer, do you remember Messer's line to Lawson at all?
I don't.
I don't know that I want to say it on the internet.
Wait, say it.
I I just can't. He was like, basically, don't worry if you can't find a woman to take care of it. Like,
Oh, I'll do
I
it for you.
was like, you're such a jerk. But he's,
Adorable.
he's like being playful, and he's trying to make light of the moment where Lawson's
Yeah.
all, like, I don't
Yeah.
have anyone, and I probably never will, and all that.
Fucking messer, man. Oh, I
Why do
see it
I
now.
love him?
So funny.
Yeah. See why I wouldn't say that on the internet?
I totally would have said it.
You want to read it for the people at home? Again, our millions and millions of followers.
Yeah. Okay, he says, if you're still virginized by then, I'll do you a solid and suck you off myself.
Better hope we
Oh,
don't get famous. Okay.
he's freaking hilarious. Did none of those words are bad. Put them together, maybe, but
I know. Yeah. Um, that's it for there. The
yeah.
more, making the meaning out of it comes in the next chapter. Chapter 14.
Yeah, chapter 14.
So in this chapter is where she's again talking with Acker, and they talk about a lot of things, but the key thing is they talk about more about who she is. We find out that Acker and her were friends. We find out
Mm-hmm.
a lot about her as a person, where she comes from, and her family. So I'll let you take that away a little bit, but they also talk about the wedding day or the match day. I keep calling it a wedding day,
Yeah.
but like match day. And in the chapters where she agrees she's done.
Yeah.
She felt the moment with Acker where she felt his influence. She felt like that buzz in like her sternum, I think she said, like kind of the burning. And that's why she was emotional. And that's why in the last chapter we were talking about the like the feeling could be confused for something else, but he was using his influence, and she's like, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah. So big things about Bryn's past.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's alive, first of all.
Mom's live.
Yeah, she's alive and has been looking for her forever. And Acker has been looking for her too. This whole time. They're
Yeah.
very close friends growing up. And basically he says that he goes to the market every year in hopes that she would be there.
Yeah, I forgot that
Yeah.
part. And that the reason that he knew it was her was because her blade was dagger was on his hip, right? And he felt
Yeah.
it kind of like
Yep.
humming, I think is
Yep.
how he described it.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
And so he kept her blade in hopes that it would
and
find her.
he had kind of like given up. And there was a part of him that like didn't want to see her because he was like, I didn't want to believe that I had given up on you and that you
Yeah.
were really still out there. But I also love how this comes out, right? This doesn't come out in this super like softy way. There's still just it's like a still a guarded conversation, but
Hmm.
that it's still got like a little bit of it's like not sass to it, but they have a vibe.
Yeah, it's a bit of a it's like a banter almost. It's cute. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's very cute in its own way. Yeah.
So one of my notes is so is Acker a metal slinger? It's what
Oh, is
we
that
don't
your note?
we don't know what a metal slinger is, but the way that he talked about why did I write that?
Even her blade, the way that I
Yeah,
keep on a blade, her dagger,
yeah,
um, the way they talk about that, I mean, like, isn't that what it is? She can recall it. Like, that
yeah,
means she can wield it.
yeah.
Um,
And it's depends on the person who made that blade. So blacksmiths are blood oath, which is why it has to be made by the person that it belongs to, along with the
oh,
blacksmith.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And that's how it ends up being bound to them. I think that's the coolest and cutest thing about this chapter is I did at this point write down, is there a possibility that Kai doesn't know that he has this influence?
Oh.
There was a little part of me that was like, technically, that's possible.
Mm.
Did I think so? No, but I was kind of trying to anticipate twists and turns. So this
Hmm.
point, I did ask that question.
Well, so okay, back to Bryn and her history.
Mhm.
She is Princess Jovi of the Mile. Mile?
Yeah,
So a
I didn't know how to say it
princess.
either.
Do you
She's a
remember
princess.
do you remember when I sent you the meme?
Which one?
The Princess Diaries meme. Me, a princess? Shut up.
Shut up.
Exactly
for
what crossed
those
my head.
for those late 80s babies, early 90s babies.
Why was she kidnapped?
I don't think we really know much. Tell me what you
Mhm.
think. I don't think we really know much beyond it sounds like the running theory is that Ren wanted to start something. He wanted to start some stuff and maybe use that as like a bargaining chip for conquering lands.
Yeah. And I mean, that was essentially Acker's like suspicion of why Kai was chose or why Kai chose her as her match was
Yeah.
that, you know, getting her as a match means he gets territory or her territory, her
Right.
land also.
That they like share kingdoms.
And this is the chapter where he actually also talks about, or in more detail, the power or how the magic, the persuasion magic
Hmm.
actually affects people, and that's through physical touch and kissy kissy in the face.
Yes. Yeah, that it's much more powerful that way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Kai's doing it. And oh, the a big piece that was also mentioned was the fact that she can actually completely lose herself
Through
from
his
Kai.
power of
Yeah, yeah,
influence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to essentially be a shell of yourself and just do and think whatever Kai wants. So,
Yeah, and that power is only really limited by the fact that they're not on land. That if they
hmm
were, that it would be much more powerful, and therefore she may have already lost herself at this
mm,
point. So the little bit of soil that Captain Ren has and shared with Kai, I guess, and all that has been able to even make it this powerful,
yeah.
which is pretty crazy.
And then Mama Kai comes. What's her
Yes,
name? Her name is Faline. Faline? Faline.
yeah.
And basically says, you know, when you were little, you were really sad about your parents dying, and Kai was there to console you. And then y'all have been
Mhm.
inseparable since.
I would love to reread this scene just because at this point, Bryn has been told that your mom is alive. And then
Mm-hmm.
Failing comes in and says, like, you were so sad that your parents
Mm-hmm.
died. And so, but she's gotta swallow this and get through
Yeah.
that interaction in a not suspicious fashion.
And now you're Kai's. So it was meant to be.
Yeah.
It
And
was
also
meant to
he
be.
probably had his influence then too. Probably started like the way she was describing that moment. It really felt
Mm-hmm.
like maybe he already had a sense of his power. Maybe he didn't know he had his power, but he was already able to kind of do it. And I don't know, it's just so creepy how it feels like she was just like plucked up and then it's
Mm-hmm.
just being used this whole
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah. And so that basically convinced her, I gotta get out of here.
Yep, she's
So,
out.
yep, she's out. And that's chapter 14.
Chapter 15.
Chapter 15, yeah.
Take it
So,
away.
yeah. So we got Bryn and Acker trying to flee. They're jumping buildings and all that stuff. And they get caught.
Yeah.
They got caught by Kai and some guards.
Mm-hmm.
And my summary says Acker is a really good fighter. Yeah.
If you could actually write out you
Yeah.
would have done it. You would have.
Yeah. Very impressive fighter. And then essentially eventually gets the upper hand, has Kai by the throat, but Bryn tells him to spare Kai.
Yeah, they
So,
get in that little scene. That's a big
mhm.
moment.
Um, yeah, so this one was fun.
This is a fun chapter. I'm gonna
Hmm
just for kicks and giggles go down my list. I have, and I quote, the bird. I just did the bird with like 8,000 D's, which we can talk about in this chapter or in later ones. But the I wrote down Kai said he only really enhanced her own feelings. So he admits using his
Manipulate.
influence
Yeah, yeah.
knowingly.
Yeah.
So that was big. Love Acker's version of protecting her. His like way of doing it is just so much more chef's kiss. I
Mm.
don't want to at this point gloat about Kai, but also here I am.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well,
I,
okay.
I wrote
Sorry.
in caps Metal Slinger because this is where we really start to understand and solidify what a metal slinger is. And there are
Mm.
people who sling metal,
He was slanging that metal.
slanging.
So good. So
This makes
good.
me think of that song that's like smashing and banging, smang a baby, smashing and. Do you remember that song?
No.
Oh, gosh, I'm gonna have to like put it in like the description or something because that's what's playing in my head in the fighting scene. It's
It's
hilarious.
so funny.
I have Kai stabs Acker.
Yeah. Well, no,
Acker,
no, no. So the big thing that he says, which
yeah.
fucking grossed me out. It was me or my father. Do
Wait,
you remember
remind me.
when basically he was like, I'm here to protect you. And he's like, no, she says, no, you're the one I need protecting from. And he's like, you have no
Mhm.
idea. And then basically he says, it was me or my father, which means it was either he was gonna match. That was my interpretation. He was gonna match Bran
Oh, you
versus
took it as like she maybe had to match with.
father versus
You
Kai.
think so? Wasn't he
I,
married at that point
oh,
to? Maybe not.
true. No,
Maybe
but
not.
like, but what did he mean by that then? It was me or my father. Like
I
kill her?
guess that he was like his dad said
Protect.
either you're gonna influence her or I do.
Oh.
It's a little still disgusting, still yuck yuck,
Still,
but not
I
but not oh that's gross. Oh, that's
clear
hilarious.
clearly I was missing context here.
Yeah, no,
But
I would be with you if that were true.
that was my reaction. I said, ew, him or his father, sick.
Sick. You sick, sick, sick man.
And then I put Kai's a
Um,
dick question mark, but at least he's honest.
that's fair. The other line that I had written down was I would have told you at some point. And I
When?
love that for Kai, that was like, oh, I would like
What
I'm
do you
not a bad
mean?
guy. I would have told you at
Yeah.
some point.
Mm-hmm.
Just, after after our matching ceremony, after basically everything you know about me. Like I'm not I'm not a bad guy. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what? Like I guess what do you say to that? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
um so it's just like, okay, I don't know at what point you were planning on telling me that you have just influenced me this whole time and that I
Yeah.
probably don't even really love you and all that.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
I mean, they get away in the boat
They do.
after Acker slings metal into a guard's eye and then recalls it.
Yeah. Pretty cool. This
I
part was
cannot.
funny. He says,
Which one?
Acker says, I'm starting to think all the Allah are all inbred. It's the only explanation for your level of stupidity.
Oh, yeah, that was. It's like, um,
Uh,
yikes.
yeah.
That's it. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that stands out in this?
No. Well, Acker gets stabbed by Kai before he gets him.
Yeah, Kai stabs Acker, and then I wrote Acker his shit up.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then they escape on the boat.
They go bye byes in boats.
They go bye
My
byes.
chapter 16.
Chapter 16. Yeah. So, it's shortest chapter in the world.
Yep.
They're on the boat. They had to go west in their boat because everywhere else was heading no north to look for them where they were gonna go originally. And
Mm-hmm.
then Bryn cleans Acker's wound. He's weak as hell, and she is tired as fuck. I like their
Yes.
banter in this. They're fun.
They had great banter.
Yeah.
And it's not even the typical kind of tropey, you're such a jerk and oh, you're so like difficult kind of banter. It is
Mm-hmm.
a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but it has its own flavor to it. I don't know how else to describe it. Maybe I'll be able to later, but my two notes
Yeah.
are they escape in boat, Acker wounded.
Yeah.
that's, that's the whole chapter. I don't know
Yeah.
that I have a lot to say on it. Chapter 17.
Yeah. Zipping through. Here we go. Chapter 17. So Bryn and Acker are on the boat. They're chatting. They're talking about stuff. They talk about her childhood and how the touch of the wall was her awakening, which
Mhm.
we'll talk about. Also that she hasn't reached her full potential with her power just yet.
I also loved the piece in here where she asked him why he didn't escape since he can clearly sling metal and
Yeah.
all that. He was like, why didn't you leave? And he's like, I wasn't leaving without you. I needed you.
Mm-hmm.
I came for you. It's such a like what I do really love about the writing of his character so far is that you can feel his softness without like typically authors might overcompensate and just go extra super hardened.
Mm,
But like there's something about the way that he's written where he's like it's just so kind of matter of fact like well, I wasn't gonna
yeah,
leave without you
yeah, yeah, yeah. Kind of
without it just
nonchalant.
being too
Yeah, kind of
yeah.
nonchalant, but it tickles the right way.
It does. You're like, oh, there's like, oh, okay, oh, is there? Oh, and it's just like a little
Yeah,
flash,
yeah.
little flash of that part of him. So I really like that.
My note literally says the banter is bantering.
The banter is bantering. That's right. It
Yeah,
makes me feel like I'm
there's
watching like Love Island, Australia, because they always talk about the banter. They're like, do you have good
mm,
banter?
yeah, they're super cute. Um, and they're just talking about the sales or how to work the boat since he does has no idea what the fuck he's doing. And she's kind of
Hmm.
telling him what to do and all that stuff. So that's fun.
And he clarified that there was peace in her in the melee and or just actually everywhere in general. There
Hmm.
was peace until she
Hmm.
was kidnapped.
Mm,
So that was really that apparently things happened afterwards.
hmm.
But that's the thing I think we have a lot of questions about is how is it that there wasn't peace, but no one thought to check for her
Hmm.
there.
Y-
I've got questions about that. I don't know how that happens. Like they were searching for forever. Apparently there was unrest. I don't know what unrest happened, but the unrest didn't happen with
Yeah.
Alaha or Alaha. I don't know how to say it. So I've got a lot of questions about that. It's like what unrest, where, why didn't it involve Alaha, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
And how do you get to Kenta? Like clearly, because is
Yeah,
he
he was
is
on
he
the.
is he melee then?
I don't know. I got the impression that he was Ken,
I
Kenta
know.
because of the dark hair and that everyone had the same features
Yeah.
and all of that. And Bryn
Yeah.
doesn't. Bryn does looks very different. And
And yet they're friends from childhood.
yeah, so I still have a lot of questions about that too. People can
Uh,
correct us if needed.
Please do.
The only other thing I had written was Osiris was the leader of Royce Royson. Did you get this part? He's the guy who falsely admitted
Mm,
to
taking
kidnapping
you.
her.
Oh, right. So someone took the blame for it. That's
Yes.
why.
So maybe that is the real people took that at face value, but
Yeah.
they later found out. I'd have to go back into the details of the chapter to
Yeah.
confirm that. But and her mom was so mad, her mom killed him.
Yeah. Well, so he talks about I haven't figured out why he would have confessed to something he didn't do, knowing the outcome would mean his death. When his brother, Kreis, whatever, seized the throne, he reignited the call for a revolution, having been a sympathizer of Ren's from the war. So he's on Ren's side.
Okay. That's
But
all I had for no wait, that's not all I had for this one.
no, we got to talk about the awakening.
Yes, the whole awakening. Wait, before we get to that, because that's kind of like the big piece.
Yeah.
I wrote that same question: Bryn's kingdom versus Acker's kingdom. How are they connected and why? Because we
Hmm.
just talked about that a little bit. And
Hmm.
then I also have the brother of Osiris that you just mentioned took the throne and is a sympathizer of Ren. Did you say that piece? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I just said that.
Oh, okay, like the sympathizer piece.
Yeah.
I heard everything else. Sorry. I want to know what that means.
Sympathizers, so same side, like he falls along this, right?
Yeah, what does that mean for like the story? And how did that change like the dynamics? There's so many questions about the kingdom and how they're
Yeah.
related and who's fighting with who right now.
Yeah. Well, now I just think maybe Osiris was working with Ren, right? To
Yeah.
For him to admit that, hey, he did this so that they wouldn't go looking for her
Oh,
from Ren,
yeah.
and so that he could do whatever it is he's doing to her, influencing her. So
Oh.
just to kind of,
Was
yeah.
persuasion used?
Oh, for Osiris or whatever?
Yeah.
Ooh, possibly. Possibly.
Did Ren persuade him
Mm,
that he did
to,
it?
to take the fall. Maybe.
Whoa. I don't regularly come up with theories on the spot, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
proud of
good
myself
one.
for that one. It's
Yeah, that's a good one.
possible.
If he's on Ren's side, the
Yeah.
brother, then yeah, who knows? Like they're working on the same for the same people, so probably.
Yeah. I
But
also wrote, where is Bryn's dad?
yeah, father's missing. They don't really talk about him.
We talked about mom now. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so she's a princess. So her mom
Mm.
is like a queen. So her
Mm-hmm.
dad is like a king, right?
Yeah. But he's
So
but
I'll
he's
just
been
leave that there.
missing.
But then, like you said, to the awakening piece. So the only part that I took away from that beyond what you've already said is the really she got all those years all at one time. And that's why it was that
Mm-hmm.
searing pain.
Mm-hmm.
But that the full, oh, is it still awakening or did he call it something else? Like the breadth of her powers, also, like you mentioned, is yet to come. She would have to
Yeah.
finish that, and that would take a couple days of that
Yeah.
pain. No,
He's
that sounds terrible.
yeah. The way he describes it makes it sound like she has crazy power.
Yeah, he does. It's like based
Like
on
he
you.
said, yeah, he said, well, she was like, okay, so my power is to be able to call a single blade. And he was like, no, that's child's play. Your true powers won't be revealed until you finish the awakening.
Honest, yeah, the way that he described it was I'd be like, I don't want to do it. Nope, that's good. I'm good. I am good with just throwing those daggers, recalling them. I think that's pretty cool. Most people
Mm,
can't say they do that.
mm-hmm. But also, the last question I had for this chapter was, what did he apologize for at the end?
Yeah. Didn't he just say I'm sorry and like no explanation?
Yeah. He just says, from what it's worth, I'm sorry. And she says, me too. Is it
I
like
think that's
for being kidnapped and missing for so long?
that was my best guess was that
Okay.
he was because he had already expressed feeling bad that
Yeah.
he stopped looking for her. He gave
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And so I maybe that was just that. But we'll
Mm,
see. Maybe there's
yeah.
more to the apology because he's holding a lot close to the vest. So is he
Cool.
still under that oath?
About the questions?
Yeah, like how he can't tell her things, but he can ask, like she can ask certain questions.
I mean, now he's telling her everything, so I don't know.
Like, is there just like maybe one specific thing that he cannot even touch on telling her?
I don't know.
Okay. Still,
And what,
still
but what could it
TBD.
be? Because now she knows everything. Or was that just him not wanting to say
Still
anything
feel
out loud? Or because he was being interrogated at that time when he talked about the blood oath, right?
he told her about the blood oath.
Oh, were they alone?
I thought it was when they were alone.
Okay, might have been.
I don't. I could be super wrong. I've been wrong
Yeah,
so many times before.
interesting. But I mean, the fact he's literally saying everything now, so.
Yeah, I guess he is, but it's kind of like that thing. So it's happened in other series, and I don't want to keep referring to like the same series, but there are other series out there where they're like, this could have been solved with just asking a question. And like
Mm-hmm.
at this point, it's just hard to believe that she wouldn't ask a
Ask.
question. So where is my dad? But they're just trickling this information. I get it. It makes it really interesting. And they're on this boat and, they're getting to know each other and it makes it better. But 18.
Yes, chapter 18. This is literally about a fucking bird.
I love this bird. He's such a jerk.
So her bird found him, her pet bird. It
Mm-hmm.
is, it is
Blue.
called, yeah, it's called an Iyun, and it can
Yeah,
eat
it's my best guess.
humans, and Bryn names him Blue. But basically, Acker's fucking terrified of this bird.
Yeah, so my question for the bird, the way that it was described, so it can eat a human whole.
hmm
So how big is this boat? And is it size wise? Is it the size of a human or larger?
Yeah, I don't know. So when I initially started imagining this, I thought they were on a fucking rowboat. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they talked about us like doing all the sail stuff. So now I'm imagining more of a
Mhm.
sailboat. That's kind of where
Yeah. I picture like the niceness of a rowboat. So it's just wood with
basic.
a couple
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sails,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's maybe let's say it's 20 feet long. 15 feet long,
Sure. Sure, sure,
something
sure.
like that. Not
Yeah.
massive,
Yeah.
enough for them
Cause
both to like lay
cause they
down and the
cause
birds
they
on it.
they did use oars to first get away. Like I remember reading they were like, oh yeah,
Oh
rowing.
yeah, yeah. So it's not, this is not a yacht.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it was on it was on Oahu,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah.
sailing away from their little tree houses in
Yeah.
a yacht using
Yeah.
oars. Um,
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah, I would that sounds accurate. Like the
yeah.
the body's more of a rowboat, but it ha does have a sail that can help them
Hmm.
move around.
Well,
And
this
then
is a big bird.
the bird, I you got me. I thought he was it was if it was outside her window, like can't be that big. Can it?
I don't, that's why I'm confused
Maybe an eagle?
because imagine just a human-sized bird just standing
Yeah,
in your
isn't that
window. I'll be like,
insane?
ah, it's so
It
scary. I guess
magic.
we'll learn.
He says it's magic.
The bird is magic. Did I miss that part?
He stretches his beak open to a point of distorting his entire body, fitting the entire fish into his gaping maw before swallowing it whole. How did it fit all of it in there? He says magic. Keep it away from me and keep it away from my food. You
Blue
know?
is trippy. I guess we'll
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah. The answer is magic.
I may have missed it, but
Answer
we
to everything
will.
is magic.
I don't know why I wrote this note down, but I wrote down fish pick Bumble. I think it had something to do with I was imagining in this moment with like the fish and all of that. It brought me to like how everyone always jokes about like guys on social media like holding the fish.
Oh,
I don't remember if it was the bird that made me think that or if it was Acker.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I also wrote down, I need to write better notes. I wrote down in quotes, your match. And so I guess it's probably because isn't this where they had a conversation about who his match is?
Yeah.
And she's like poking. She
Hmm.
keeps bringing up his match. He's holding it close to the vest.
Yeah.
And
I s well, okay, so remember my theory of was it her? Is it her? It sounds like it's not her, like actual match.
oh yeah, I remember your original theory. And
Describing
so you're
her.
saying now you don't think that his match is her.
I think the girl that he loved or whatever is her, but his
Mhm.
match isn't her.
Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
see.
Yeah, yeah.
I was starting to lean towards that too, because I think we figured out that when he described the eye color, he was like, her eye colors are all,
Hmm.
and then she is red haired, gray eyed, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so she can't, so unless there's some sort of trick to the poetry where it's like you blend all the season colors together and it makes gray,
Gray. Hmm.
that there's a fairly good chance that it's not that his match is not her. But I
Yeah.
do agree. The girl he was in love with was her.
Yeah. What if also her eyes matched Kai's because she was influenced by him or something.
Oh,
And
that would be cool.
because they matched, right? The eyes. He had gray eyes also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Kai.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty sure.
So
Was this the chapter where they had the talk about the crushes?
don't know. That might be 19. Well,
Okay.
what is it when they're in the water? Because the next chapter, they're in the water.
I don't remember, but
Yeah.
we will proceed and we can talk about it like it's.
Proceed. Yeah. Um, so chapter
Oh,
19.
last. Wait,
Oh,
no, sorry. Quick
yeah,
diversion back. Quick divert. I'm gonna divert
sure.
back.
Hmm.
Is
Retreat.
retreat is that we also learned that Acker's father is a politician
Mm,
and that his mother died and that he has a sister. I don't remember anything else really beyond that, but I don't know if that stands out at all. But I just wanted to at least note it that in this chapter, if Acker father politicians question mark and his mom's gone and he has a sister. 19.
yes, 19. Okay, so They play in the water together, and Bryn starts to feel the physical connection with Acker, even though she says she shouldn't. Hmm. And then a storm is coming,
Yep.
and it sounds really bad.
Sounds bad.
Sounds really bad. So they have some fun. Their banter continues. He splashes her.
Yeah, I did have to giggle to myself a little bit with this scene. It's like I know I know it's cute, but it's just so hard to not picture. There's a specific movie scene that I don't know that it reminds me of the splashing in the water. I'm thinking of Star Wars, and it has nothing to do with water, but it's like where they're the two characters like mocking each other. It's just like really poor
Yeah.
flirting.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of what I pictured with this. It was just so like, wow, this is screaming flirting, and you two are just
Yeah.
dancing around it.
Yeah, it's super cute. And then their whole argument about him using the blade where he took someone's eye out and used it to
Yeah.
cut up their meat that they're
How would you feel about that? Like if you,
I guess, I mean, obviously, if I were me, I'd be fucking disgusted and grossed out by it. But if you're someone who's killed people that
yeah,
night
you're
he
like
was
part of the
there,
guard.
he wiped it.
I feel like if I lived in this world,
Yeah,
the lives they live are very unclean.
yeah.
So I do think that if this was, I don't think I think for her, it is a little bit more the emotional connection to the fact that it's not the cleanliness, it's that it's both a murder weapon and to
Mm-hmm.
eat dinner kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I know that sounds maybe obvious, but to me, there is a distinction. Like, it's not
Yeah.
just the like, ew, there's blood on that. It was just
Yeah.
like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you murdered somebody with this, and now we're just eating fish with it.
Yeah. It's kind of it. Nothing too crazy because the storm is coming and they're going to try to outrun it, but it might be too late. That was it for chapter
Funny.
tw 19. Yes, chapter 20. Last one. So, literally, this chapter's 2 pages long. They're in the storm, holding on to each other for dear life so that they don't lose each other. And that's kind of it. My big question here is there a squid carrying the boat? Is there a squid? Is that
Dude,
what this is?
we had that moment in our last episode where we really quickly caught ourselves before we finished. We're like, we didn't mention this whole giant squid thing
Yeah.
they mentioned right at the beginning. And it
Mm-hmm.
was very clear that that was going to become something.
Yeah.
And so I almost pictured this kind of dreamlike moment with this where they are riding out this violent storm and they're like
Mm-hmm.
hugging each other, holding each other.
Mm-hmm.
And she described how she felt like really safe the way he was holding her. He whispered or like yelled something to her, but
Mm-hmm.
like it sounds like a whisper in the storm. I
Mm-hmm.
forget exactly what he said, but I pictured it. It was such a good like scene. I could really see it. But I pictured it as like the lightning hits the water underneath this boat as they're holding each other, and you could just see the giant tentacles.
Tentacles. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that was a cool scene. That
Yeah.
was fun, even though it was
Yeah.
so short. It was very well punctuated.
Yeah. You can picture it.
So we
That's
leave
it.
it there. I'm really starting to like it. Like I said in the beginning, going to have to resist that urge to go read on and read right before the episode. So it makes it a little easier
Yeah.
to recall facts and figures.
I'm happy that we're starting to get a lot of the history around everything. Slowly but surely. And also that
Yeah.
their relationship is cute.
It is cute.
There's a little history, a little friendship action, long
I
lost
love
friend.
his I love his way of being with her. This is what I wanted. I feel so vindicated that my poor male choices have taught me to be able to pick out, you know, having enough, spotting them in real life in the past
Mm,
has really made my radar really good. I did not like how he was always holding her hand and always like, I'll go with you, or
yeah.
it just felt like babysitting. Leave me alone. I'm in the guard.
Meanwhile, We're gonna shit every
Sorry, I
time.
realized the reverse of this is
No, but it
we
really
have work to do, Kim.
why I remain single forever. Let's forget it. Yeah, but yeah, good job.
This was fun.
This was fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to keep reading. Lots of theories, lots of questions left to be answered. And the trickle of information, just as a commentary on the writing of the book, is super satisfying and dissatisfying all at the same time. But it makes you
Hmm.
push through the chapters. And I think they're so short. It's definitely not a book where you're going to have a hard time continuing on.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a little bit of information. Ooh, that was satisfying. I finished a chapter. Yay, all the
Hmm.
oxytocin in my brain. So,
Yeah. I like this book. It's super unique, like the
mm-hmm.
magic system's different, the setting is different.
It definitely did. It's doing its own thing. And even
Hmm.
though we love the typical tropes and the
Hmm.
typical sort of settings and, the colleges with, young people, all
Hmm.
that's great is different. If
Yeah.
you want a really good palate cleanser that leans into the same sort of desires and what you want to read, this
Hmm.
is a great one. I'm really liking it.
Agree.
Well,
Awesome.
next week we do 21 through 30, so including
Hmm.
30.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.